Good evening. So I think I probably only have about 30-ish, maybe 40 minutes of like stuff I want to talk about. And I would say 40 minutes is going to be like on the higher end. Y'all know sometimes I get excited and I get winded, so I don't want to make any promises. But this is kind of, so I've been doing coaching calls sporadically, like for the last week, a couple a day or one a day or whatever. And so I'm going to preface this with, if I've had a coaching call with you this week, this is not me talking to you. This is because I keep hearing the same things over and over again. Okay. So I don't want anybody feeling guilty. Okay. Like, oh, she's talking to me. I mean, I might be talking to you, but the whole subject of this is because I keep hearing this. So I just wanted to address it with everybody because it's also things that I struggle with. Turn my phone over so the notifications don't get me. So the first thing is I put bring your excuses. And it's because everything that we keep talking about, like the excuses or the reasons that are keeping us from working our business, you guys, they're all the same. They have one thing in common, and they're not going away. Like that's what I keep hearing. And that's what my own excuses are too. I need to I got like notes all over the place because seriously, every time I've gotten off a coaching call or I've been driving this week or I've had a thought about it, I've been writing them down. So they're kind of all over the place. But the more I hear it, I'm like, you guys, this is not stuff that's going to go away. And here's the deal is even if it does go away, if we allowed one or two or three other things to be an excuse, we're going to just replace it with something else, right? Like you're just going to replace it with something else. Say you get a full-time housekeeper, right? And then you don't have that excuse anymore. You're going to find something else to replace it with, like something else, because we're allowing our business to be lower on the priority level. So that's why I think that I told you guys to bring them because I want to go through them like on the Zoom and talk about them and talk about them out loud and work through them. So if you haven't, I want y'all to take like 5 minutes right off the bat, and I want you to write down 3 to 4 things that you feel like keep you from working your business. Even if they may not even make sense. Like for me, one of mine is like dishes and laundry. If you've been to my house isn't clean. That's the crazy thing. I'm still doing those things, but my house doesn't look like it's prioritized over my business. So it can just be reasons you give yourself that like things you have to do before your business. Okay. So I just want to take you a couple of minutes. Some of mine that I wrote down, if you need ideas, I'm sure y'all don't, but like are my kids. My house is dirty. The dishes need to be done. Laundry needs to be done. I need to spend time with Jared. He's very stressed at work. Like he needs more of my full attention. Um, you know, on the weekends, it's like my parents, I'm around my parents. I need to spend time with them. Like those kind of things. So I'm going to give you guys just a couple of minutes to write those down. I already have mine written down. And P.S., I'm going to make y'all share. So just go ahead and be ready for that. Yeah, put them in the chat. That's perfect. Okay, so I'm starting to see these come through, and if you guys want to keep dropping them, absolutely keep dropping them. Um, but so kind of the way that I'm looking at this is, and they're all so similar, you guys, right? So kids is like a huge one, right? Well, sorry, the chat's going so fast. I'm trying to scroll back up. Kids. All right, here's the deal. And I think, and I told this to Danny, like I use these exact words with Danny, me and her were talking. And I was like, God willing, your kids are never going to go away, right? Like God willing, our kids are always going to be there. And I would like to say that, like, when Emmy is just not 19 months old, she's going to be easier. But that's not true, because then she's going to be a toddler who needs me, who wants me to color with her, who wants me to play with her. I know that because I have Palmer. And then soon they're going to have activities, right? So they're just going to go from one stage to the next. And there's always going to be something about that stage that we can keep ourselves from working the business. They don't sleep. Now they're crawling and they're everywhere. Now they're walking and they're really destructive. Now they're, you know what I'm saying? We can go through it, but God willing, those are never going to go away. And the second thing is like work, okay? Full-time job. If you want that full-time job to go away, you got to have a plan B, right? So you have to be willing to make time for your plan B if you want that full-time job to go away. And if you don't, that's cool too. But you have to understand that you're going to have to find ways to work around that and not let that be what's holding you back. The house is dirty, the laundry, the dishes, get it. I get all of that. Here's where, and I'm just reading through some of these and then I'm going to kind of circle back around. Basically, what I want you to think in your mind is like, do you think that I'm like, what I have to tell myself is, do you think you're the only person who's ever promoted to presidential, to double, to diamond, to ruby, to anything that had a full-time job with long hours or that was stressful? No. 9 times out of 10, people are doing those things while working that full-time job because they have to. They don't have another choice. Like that full-time job is paying their bills, and it works, has to build up and get somewhere to where before it can be the one that's the main one paying the bills. Do you think, Stormy, that you're the only one that's ever built a business or promoted to a high rank with kids? Heck no, you're not. Brittany Hayes has 5. Susan Wade has 4. Like, I mean, there's a ton of people that have way more kids than I do. Do you think that you're the only one that's ever had kids in this stage? You know, do you think you're the only one with a husband who's ever needed more attention, or, you know, whatever it is? Do you think you're the only person that has to keep a house clean, dishes done, laundry done, whatever, all those things? So those are kind of the things that I've been asking myself. And I'm not ignoring the chat totally. I'm just trying to keep going without stopping totally and reading it. So here's what I've said. What I've basically done is like told myself, you're not the only one that has done those things. If you're using it for an excuse, it's because you don't want it as bad as those people. And that's how the kind of talk I've had to give myself. So what I'm doing here is I want to give you guys some of the questions that I've been asking myself, and just to really be able to self-reflect on. Because something I used to tell and there's, I think one or two of my old gymnasts is on here, is there is a difference, and I'm saying this because of some of the things I'm seeing in the chat, in an injury and an ache. That's what I used to tell them, right? When they would be like down or out or whatever. An injury is like a sprain, a broken bone, a dislocation, something like that. Like that is something in life that really knocks you down and like keeps you down for a bit. You know, deaths. You know, I'm seeing things like, you know, Alyssa, I know you lost your mom, like Monique, you've got that, you know, a friend. Those are injuries to me. Aches are like shin splints, right? They're like being sore from the day before, stuff like that. That's stuff that, yeah, I mean, we could let it keep us from going further and what we want to do, because it's annoying and it is a little painful and it is a little bothersome, but it's not something that should really knock us totally off the path we're on. It's not a broken bone. You're not in a cast. You're not, you know what I'm saying? The shin splints, to me, those kind of things are always going to be there. They're annoying. You know, you're always going to be a little sore. You're always going to, whatever it is. And so those are the way that I had to relate it to myself is, and really ask myself, like, is this excuse? Is this an injury, or is this an ache, Stormy? Emerson being crazy, that's an ache. Okay? That's an ache. And she ain't going away, right? Like, God willing. So some of the things that I have, like, and I don't know if you guys want to write this down, but again, I've just been trying to do a lot of self-reflecting on the things that I say yes to instead of my business. And I'm not telling you to say no to your kids. That's not what I'm saying. Please hear that. But the first thing that I have asked myself every single time where if I feel conflicted is, would you take off of your full-time job for this? Would you call in and tell them my dishes are dirty? I can't come in. Would you say I got 2 loads of laundry? I'm going to be about 2 hours late, okay? Like, no. Would you? I don't know. Maybe some of you would. I know that wouldn't have gone over well at my full-time job, but maybe you have a more lenient, I don't know, job. The second thing is, and this is where the housework comes in, guys. This is what I've had to say. Is it going to matter in the big scheme of things? If those dishes sit in the sink another day, what does it matter? If my laundry, I already have laundry piles. Who cares if there's 2 more? They're already there. Like, who cares? In the big scheme of things, if I don't touch this laundry or these dishes to play with my kids or to work my business or to spend time with my husband, which is the most important things, what's it going to matter? It doesn't. And so, the last, or like to kind of go with that is, I have never heard one person in this business. Mark said this last night. It was funny because I wrote it down. I already had it written down. I've never heard somebody in this business just go hard and promote and then be like, man, whew, that was really hard. I wish I hadn't done that. You know, I wish I hadn't done that. And so my thinking was, he said, the way I wrote it down was, man, I'm really glad I did that laundry yesterday, or, you know, like, and never had piles ever. Or I'm really glad that I worked and made an extra $1,000 for my family this month. Like, what do you think is going to come out of your mouth? I'm glad that I never had a laundry pile. I'm glad that I stayed up 30 extra minutes. I'm glad that I worked through lunch. Or I'm glad that I just brought in, you know, I just promoted to diamond and now I have a $10,000 bonus. Because you guys, I know those bonuses are coming. I don't know what they are, but I know they're coming. And then the last thing I've been trying to ask myself is, am I using my why as an excuse? Because we do that, and myself included. My kids are my why. Like, my husband is my why, but they're the 2 things that I use as an excuse. Well, Jared might not be number 2. Probably like the house and stuff is number 2. But you know what I'm saying? Those are the 2 things that I find myself like using as my excuse more than anything. But am I going to want to look at them in 15 years and say, I'm sorry, you have to pay for your own college because it was, you know what I'm saying? Because I used you as an excuse instead of a driving force behind me. No, that makes me nauseous to my stomach to think about. And so I think for me, it's been just all about perspective when it comes to like these excuses, and just flipping it and looking at it differently and asking those questions. And almost just saying, like, having a category, like, is this an injury or is this an ache? And so again, like I'm saying, I'm not deaths and major illnesses, and there are stuff that I 100% get. Like, I wouldn't be like, put some dirt on it and keep going. That's not what I'm saying. But I've had to really categorize those things for myself so that I don't get too far off track. Does anybody want to, I'm like, pretty much everybody shared. Just reading.
This is like a perfect segue for something. I went to an event on Saturday, and I did not know that Stormy was going to talk about this. And there was a part of the Try It that we went to, like Amber Parker was there, and Aaron Tweed, and some others that were there. And their big thing was like, life happens. And so I'm just going to read, it's 4 pages, but it's teeny tiny little pages. So y'all just bear with me. It says, how it works can help you get through life. Even when you're going through things, you have to go to work. Being an It Works distributor is just the same. So like it's saying, if you're going through stuff, and you have a full-time job, you have to go to work anyway. It's just the same. It says, get up and get to work. Even when you're going through things, you need to share. You can go through life and excel in this business. Some days you don't want to work, but you need to. When you take a couple of weeks off, it is so hard to get back in. And I can attest to that. It's so hard to get back going. Um, it says if you need to watch back-to-back sermons and do personal development if you don't feel like working, because even when you are working on yourself, you are still working on your business. So when you get to that weird place in life that you just don't feel like doing anything, at least like watch back-to-back podcasts or back-to-back sermons. It says when you're going through it, someone needs to know what you're going through. Share your story. Someone needs to hear your story. Your weaknesses make you strong. And I just thought that's like the perfect segue to what Stormy was talking about, because this is more than a business. I mean, yes, it's a business. Yes, you can make money. Yes, you can be debt free. You can have freedom of time, freedom of finances. But at the same time, it's a family, it's a community. And I know that I went to this and like they preached pretty much, and we prayed and we sang and we did whatever at a triad event. And then I know that Ashley watched the Zoom, and they're preaching on the Zoom too. So this business is so much bigger than just a paycheck. And so it's about sharing your story, and to do that you have to be vulnerable. And but it's so, when you're going through stuff, people are going through stuff. People can relate to you. One of the speakers, her name is Amanda Gully, and she has a lot of seizures. And she said once she got honest with putting that out there, like her team exploded. There's another distributor who has a lot of anxiety. Once she put that out there, her team exploded, because people don't expect you to be perfect, but they do expect you to share your story. So I just had to say that.
Oh, that's perfect. I actually have heard that about Amanda. She's in a chat I'm in. And here's the deal. Some of the thing, guys, is like y'all are talking about tired. I get it. I understand. Like I don't work the days that I used to, and I'm still tired at the end of the day, right? I don't know if that's because I spend more time with my children. I'm not really sure why it is. Like about 8:30, sometimes I'm like, why am I so exhausted? Like I sat at the kitchen table all day. Why am I tired? I get that. But what I will tell you is that, well, two things is, if you know that at the end of the day, you're exhausted, you're done for, like you've had too much, then you need to either get up earlier or find a time during lunch to work. When you are at prime peak, like I can work, and I'm not going to say, oh, I'll do it later, because I am the queen of I'll do it later. And then later comes, and then I'm tired and I don't want to do it. That's mainly when my house looks the way it does. Okay. Because I tell myself during the day, you should just work, not clean. But I'm the queen of I'll do it later. I get that. But what I'm telling you is, if you know 9 o'clock at night, you're going to be tired, or you want to just unwind, that's great. Unwind. But get up 30 minutes earlier and get it done. Or here's the thing is, or if you're not willing to find a way around whatever is keeping you from working your business, then you have to say that's okay, but all these things or all that is this or that or whatever is more important than my goals. And you got to own that. You have to just say, okay, either my why is not that big, or this is more important. And some things are more important. I'm not saying that, but you have to be real with where you're at and what you're letting keep you back. Because until you have that really real conversation and look yourself in the mirror, you're going to be spinning your wheels. And so and that's the thing is, like, Danny, if that bothers you, I'm only looking because there's the biggest paragraph. It was like right there. I've said your name twice. I'm sorry. I'm not calling you out. But if it is more important for you to have that, like, that's fine. But you have to say, okay, like that's the priority level, is my house goes in front of my business. And so now I can't expect my business to pay me as well as I'd like it to, because I'm putting X, Y, and Z in front of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just have to be real with how much time you can give it if there are things that are more important. And there are things, my kids are more important than my business. That's not what I'm saying either, that there's not. But I'm just saying is, like, finding that, it all goes back to what you're saying yes to makes you say no to other things, you know, and just what do you want to say yes to? Like, what are the top 3 things you want to say yes to? And I know that I remember being like, well, they don't get it. They don't work full time. And maybe y'all are like that now with me and Gina and Jen and Jamie. I don't know. But I do remember being there. Like, I do remember. I mean, I've looked at my husband probably 17 times in the last 2 months and thought and said, I don't know how we would have made it if I was still working like I was and you're working like you are. I don't know what we would have done. Our kids would have lived at daycare. So I do remember working those hours. But what I will tell you, and y'all, some of y'all have probably heard me say this too, is when I was promoting, like from Ruby to Double, I don't remember being tired. I don't remember not wanting to pick up my phone. I don't remember not wanting to look at my notebook. I had like a green spiral notebook at that time, you know, right? Like I still have it. Okay. With my 3 list every day, my rule of 3. I don't remember any of that. All I remember is opening those paychecks and seeing the debt go down and being so freaking excited and the adrenaline. I don't remember any of the hard parts. None of it. And so it's, to me, it's like childbirth to me, right? Like, it's really hard and really terrible at the time. But God gives us the ability to forget because we get something better. And that's all, truly, you guys, I don't know if I make this recording. I'm not just saying that. I don't remember being exhausted during those months. And I was in the middle of optional season. You know, I had gymnastics meets 1 to 2 times a week because my middle school was competing. I was doing youth gymnastics. I had a 6-month-old. Jared was at TCU. Like, it was insane. I look back and think, what were you thinking even saying yes to this business? But you know what? I would do it all over again. Every single bit of it. Okay, so segueing from that, I can't say piggyback now because Ashley has ruined me from piggybacking forever. She doesn't like that word. So the other thing, this is a random thought I've had, but it also kind of tied into some of the things I've been hearing. So again, I'm just addressing this because I've heard it several times. I was driving the other day, right? And my watch was like, woohoo, congratulations, you did it. You stood up 12 times today. Y'all are like, where is this going? She's talking about her Apple Watch. And Brooke's laughing because I was telling Brooke about this. It was like the day we had our coaching call. I'm like, this is the measure of success that Apple is giving me? That I stood up 12 times a day or once an hour? Like for 12 hours? What kind of baseline is that? What kind of measure of success is that? That we stood up as humans 12 times or 12 times, 1 hour, 1 time per hour for 12 hours, right? So that got me thinking, like, what is my baseline in this business? What am I telling myself is good enough? And does it equate to my income goals? You know, like, what is my baseline that every day that I'm cool with going to sleep with? And so I've talked to, over the last week, a whole bunch of people and, you know, who want to make a certain amount of money, but sometimes they aren't sure what goes into that work. And so this is where I want to tell you guys, if you feel like that's you, like, you know, I have a goal of Ruby, but I'm not really sure what Ruby work looks like. That's where you need to make sure you're reaching out to your sponsor and saying, this is what I'm doing every day, 5 days a week, 3 days a week, whatever it is. Do you think this is enough, or do you think I need to amp it up? Because every single one of the leaders have built to at least double, right? So we know what it takes. Like, we know what we were doing with Ruby, Diamond, etc. So you need to have those conversations and ask their opinion and figure it out. Another thing that I know me and Melissa have talked about this before in a coaching call. I told her, if you're not sure if it's enough, do that for 30 days, you know, 6, whatever. And then at the end, track your results. And if you don't like those results and you don't like those enrollments, then you know you need to do more. If you're happy there, then be happy there. And that can be your non-negotiable, and that can be your baseline. So just have that honest conversation with yourself. Like, am I working 30 minutes a day, but I'm expecting $2,000? Am I working 3 hours a day, but I'm expecting $15,000? You know, what is your baseline? What is your measure of success? And what does that work look like? So if my baseline is like 5 messages, 1 story, 1 post, and then scrolling for 45 minutes, but then I want to go presidential diamond, y'all, that's not enough. Like, that's not good. And that's not my non-negotiables. That's not what I'm saying. But I think a lot of us get caught up in scrolling, and then we think we worked for like an hour, right? Because we were commenting and like we were adding, and like we think, well, we just worked for an hour. Like, that was income producing activities. And it was, but those have to be coupled with other income producing activities, which is the messaging. which is the putting your stories and your polls out there and like staying very on people's radar, and doing all the things, the host to post, everything like that. And so if 1 hour of scrolling and 5 messages is your non-negotiables and you do that for the day, that's okay. But again, you need to have that honest conversation and be prepared for what the outcome of that work looks like. So that's pretty much, I'm like, I wrote, if I only stood up 12 times a day as my activity and I did nothing else, would I expect to look like Jennifer Aniston? That was my ending comment as I'm writing. I'm laughing. I'm telling you, I took these notes like all throughout the week, because that Apple Watch got me like last week, and that spurred my whole, and then all the coaching calls spurred my but yeah, setting a timer when yes, that's what I do too, is I make my time. Or another good thing, this is kind of off this subject, but what I've been doing is when I set my timer, if my timer's for 15 minutes, I make it a goal to interact with 30 people, so that I'm like not even, like I'm just like speed interacting. I don't know. That's helped me, because I will get caught scrolling on Instagram more so than Facebook. Before I know it, like I'm creeping on Haley and Justin Bieber, and I've lost like 7 minutes of, I don't know. I'm looking at Justin Bieber's Instagram, which I don't even like Justin Bieber, so it's a whole thing. Anyway,
one thing I was thinking about today, because Jamie and I had a call with the 2 girls that I signed up the other day. And we were talking about making a goal for a day, your first few days, 5 messages, whatever. And I was thinking about this today, because her and I were talking, and I was like, if your first goal is 1 post and 5 messages or whatever, and you get all that done in an hour, like it's okay to do more. Like you're not gonna, if you get all your negotiables done, your non-negotiables done, and it's, 2 o'clock and you don't have to leave to pick up the kids for an hour or whatever, like just because those are done, it's okay to do more. Like it's not going to hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, I had this, and some of you guys have been around to know what the rule of 3 is. Y'all have been around long enough, but I did this rule of 3 when I first started, and that's what I did every day pretty much. And so it came out to like 6 follow-ups and 6 new messages, basically, and then I did some like what am I grateful for, encouraging stuff like that. But it basically came out to 6 messages, 6 new messages, and 6 follow-ups. And I promoted to Ruby doing that. But when I went from Ruby to Diamond and Diamond to Double, I have my green notebook. I can show y'all where that rule of 3 went 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you know what I'm saying? Like of new PDTs and new PLCs. Like I was going to and I was sending 30 messages a day, 15 and 15. And I was following up 30. Just, it did not stop at 3, And when I was doing that for Ruby, it was great and it worked and it got the job done. But when I wanted to go to the next level, it wasn't the same. It wasn't enough. So that's just one thing that I think too is I think there's that everybody joins for a reason, and $500 is a really good stinking goal, and that can help a lot of people out. And if that is what your goal is, that is awesome. You go after that and do the work and put that in. But if your goal is 5 or 50,000, just realize that you might, it's just like the self-development. Every level takes a new level. That's going to take looking at yourself. And that's really just what I've been struggling with personally. And like I said, I've been hearing that from a lot of people. So I just wanted to kind of touch base on it on tonight's Zoom. But does anybody have anything they want to add? If not, I'm going to stay on and work for a little bit longer. But if you guys have anything y'all want to add, feel free to unmute yourself. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat.
I have 2 stories from Saturday's event. Also, the first one is Josh Parker stood up. Now, Josh and Amber Parker, they're our field liaison reps for It Works. And he stood up and he just explained, he said, I want you, and I'm going to tell you this, I want you to think about something you are really, really good at. And when you have figured it out, I want you to raise your hand because I want to. So what's something you're really, really good at? And then Raise your hand. Thank you for raising your hand, Danny. Okay, there's Stormy. Really, really good at. Oh my gosh, y'all. Seriously, you're only good at 2 people? Okay, there's Jamie. All right, Jamie, tell me what you're really good at.
I'm really good at planning a party.
Okay.
Or are we talking about business?
No, whatever you are really good at. Okay, so think about this. Think about how good you are at planning a party. And do you think your 10-year younger self was equally as good at planning a party? No. Okay, so let's take it even a step farther. What if your 20-year younger self was that? I mean, you were probably like 3 years old playing stuff on the playground.
Yeah, definitely. I was 3.
Yeah. So he was explaining to us that we think, okay, we signed up in this business and we're going to go ambassador and we're going to do it in nothing flat. But there's so much that has to take place along the way. Jamie learned how to be a good party planner because she planned parties over and over and over and over and over again. I learned how to play the piano and the bass guitar because I took lessons and I practiced over and over and over again. And so, what if it takes you 10 years to get ambassador? You're going to be making $33,000 a month in 10 years. If you have small kids, I'm looking at Melissa. I see her little one. So your little kid's going to be 10 years old, 11 years old, and you're going to be making $33,000 a month. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Absolutely, it's worth it. So you have to look at it as a long term. The other thing is, Amber and I have been in this business for 7 years, and we both looked at each other, and she looked me dead in the eye, and she said, Gina, do you remember when we had the run? And we talked about this. And so a run, and it works, is like for several years. Like it starts and it explodes and it stays that way for several years. And she said, we're about to go on a run. Do you remember when we had the run when you first signed up? And I was like, yeah, that's why I was able to go triple in 5 months. And so she said, it's about to happen again. And so get your numbers together, get your names together, get your mind right, know that you deserve it. It's going to happen. And you are in the right business at the right time. You're on the right Zoom at the right time. You're in the right company at the right time. You have the right leadership at the right time. Everything is falling into place. So get your mind right, get your numbers ready, get your people ready to put in the system, because it's all going to fall into place. So I wanted to share that with y'all.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay,
Yeah, the only other thing that I was going to add on to what Stormy was saying, just about like priorities and just taking the time to actually work your business. Something that has helped me probably in the past couple months is, before I came home to do this full time, I worked it throughout the day. So I was used to working my business like in fragments, and like a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there. I'm walking to this meeting, I'm going to send a couple messages. I'm going to the bathroom, I'm going to send a couple messages, whatever. And I found that when I came home, I was not that disciplined because my schedule was not that disciplined. And so I had to learn the hard way of going probably a month or 6 weeks, where it was like, I'd get to the end of my day and it was like, man, I feel like I worked all day, but I really got nothing done. And so I had to take a step back and kind of reevaluate, like, what am I actually doing with my time? Am I actually sending the messages, or am I throwing a story up, or am I scrolling, or am I doing whatever? So for me personally, whether you time block or whatever, Stormy gave some really good examples and ideas. For me personally, the thing that has made me more successful is using a checklist. And sitting down and being intentional. The other thing that that kind of goes hand in hand with that is, if you're intentional with your time, it doesn't take that long. And for me, like, I have really lofty goals. My team knows that. Most of you know that if you know me. I got big goals. And a lot of times that's really scary. Like, I know the level of effort it's going to take to go presidential, and does 50 messages a day scare the bejesus out of me? It kind of does. Like, let's just be real. But how long does it actually take to send 5 messages if I chunk it into 5s, right? If I can do that 10 times a day, I'm up at least 10 hours a day. Like, how long does that actually take? If I were to sit down and like do my whole entire to-do list, like start to finish, how long does that actually take? Because in my head, I've got it worked up that, oh my God, everything that I need to do, it's going to take me all freaking day. Plus I have to mom, plus I have to clean, plus I have to whatever. And that's not the case. If you sit down and you look at it and you actually were to say, if I could sit down and do this start to finish and be so intentional and just get the task on my list done, how long would it take? My list probably would take a couple of hours because mine's pretty lofty. I've got lofty goals. But if I look at it that way, it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm up 10, 12, 14 hours a day. I can realistically devote 3 or 4 hours to my business here and there and here and there, which is what I'm used to. So my current habit is piecemealing it, but trying not to be intimidated by like these huge things this huge level of effort that I know that it's going to take, and like psyching myself out. Cause I got really bad at that too. Like, it was like, oh my God, I don't even know where to start because I have so much to do. And you can't think like that. You just have to start. Know what is the most, and my team can echo this too. I'm very, very cognizant of the fact that like we do 4 income producing things every single day. And so at the end of every day, I'm like, did I do those 4 things? Because if I didn't, then I didn't truly work my business, and I was messing around and I was not intentional with my time. And if I had to tell Rayleigh no, or if I had to pick up dinner because I didn't want to cook dinner, was it for a good reason, or was it because I was playing on my phone? And so that has become like a real, you kind of have to step back and like kind of call your own crap and be like, I'm not doing what I need to be doing. And if I'm not getting done the things that I need to get done, it's because I'm making the choice. So for me, that looks like a checklist every single day. That looks like an intentional corner of my house where I say, I'm going to work my business at night after my family's asleep, and I can be so intentional. That looks like me not being a morning person and going to bed early on Monday nights and Wednesday nights, so I know I can get at least 2 early mornings with you guys before my kids are up, because that gives me 30 minutes of intentional time, or 45 minutes, or whatever. And so you just have to, like, for me, that was the biggest aha and it didn't even hit me because I never really had to manage 14 hours. My day was always dictated, and I was good. Like, they say that people that work full-time are the best at this business because they know how to handle a bunch of stuff. So when all of that stuff went away and I just had forever to do it, it never gets done. So if you're struggling with that, then I would say get intentional, set your goal. How many new messages am I going to send a day? How many follow-ups am I going to send a day? How many host to post am I going to get up? How many friends am I going to add? How many posts am I going to do a day? If you're doing those things every single day, you are working your business, and you can lay your head down at night and be proud of the work that you did, and set numbers to those things. I think that that's another, like, a big thing. Like, you have a goal, you're working your business. It aligns with whatever your like rank goal is or financial goal is, and just hold yourself accountable. It's hard. It's hard as hell. And I struggle every day with it, but you have to hold yourself accountable. So anyways, that's all I was going to say.
No, I agree. When you said that your day used to be dictated for you, my day used to be blocked in 50-minute increments, right? For 11 years, I've gone first period, second period, third period, you know what I'm saying? And I started time blocking my schedule the last probably week and a half. And I know that if you work full time, this might not be as easy, right? But like from 5, and I think I told some of you guys, from 5 to 6:30, like I put get up, workout, shower. Like I write it down because that makes me like, I wouldn't skip a doctor's appointment if it was in my calendar, right? So I'm going to get up and go work out and not skip that. The time blocking has been huge. And then another thing that I shared really quickly with the girl who is brand new, and she actually works with my husband. And so I know like the kind of stress of time they're under. I told her to chunk up the things you need to do into 3 chunks, right? Like 3 chunks. I need to get this done, this done, this done, and start with the hardest and do it when you're the freshest. Or if you're the best at night, like Jamie's a night owl. If you're the best at night, then she might save her messages for night. But then do the other stuff like the adding, the interacting. Like if you like watching a show at night, guys, I can scroll and still hear everything going on in Vanderpump and interact and add. You know, I can't send intentional messages. I'm not going to lie. I cannot while I'm watching something that I want to watch. Now, if it's just like, oh, an old episode of Friends is on, I can do it. But block it up and then say, okay, this is assigned in the morning, this is assigned to this time, and this is assigned to this time, because I know that's when those are going to best fit into my schedule, and I can still maybe watch some TV with my husband, or you know what I'm saying? And that was kind of the advice that I gave her. You know, at lunch, if you know you can add 20 people real quick, add your people then, but send your messages 20 minutes earlier, get up 20 minutes earlier and do that in the morning and knock them out and be done. And then just play defense all day. And then just to wrap it up, something that I was just thinking about, I know that sometimes you guys probably are like, gosh, they sound like broken records and like they just keep on. And I know that. But what I want you guys to understand is why we are always hammering this stuff so hard is because even though you don't believe in you, we believe in you. We do not see the doubts and the negative voices and the negative. Is that better? No? Okay. It didn't come unclicked. Any better? Okay. Sorry, I got this computer is like possessed. Jen's is too. And so we believe in you guys. Like the negative self-talk that y'all have, we don't hear. We see the positive. We see the capable. We see the person who has big goals and deserves them. So we want this for you guys so badly. We want like all the success that we've had, and some of you've had success, but we want that for y'all. And that is why we are so passionate about telling you guys these things. And even if it feels like it's a broken record and over and over and over again, somebody probably had to tell me over and over and over again. Somebody had to believe in me before I believed in myself. And so I just want you guys to understand that it has nothing to do with us, and it has everything to do with we know what this company can bring to the table for you, for your family, for your kids, for your dogs, if you're a dog mom, whatever it is, we know what is capable. And we want that for you guys. That's all. That's all. Because at the end of the day, there's only so many things you can buy with money, right? Like there's only so many things. And then you have to find a bigger, better why. And you guys, a lot of times, are our bigger and our better why. You know, we're like the moms that are trying to lead you down the right path as a teenager. And but I mean, seriously, you guys, I just want you to understand that is, I hate feeling like preachy and coachy, but I just want you to understand that everything we say to you guys, all your leaders, and like our advice is like, it comes from a place of love. It really does. Even if it sounds like tough, annoying love sometimes, it's from the right place. So I'm going to stop the recording, and I'm going to stay on and work if anybody wants to stay on and work with me.